You will see on your screens, everybody, David Neustadt has joined us. Obviously, a Florida kid. You can see by the baseball hat, right? He's got his Miami Heat hat on. He is a UCF student. He's a graduate of South Plantation High School, lived in Plantation. He is also an Israeli, an American. And last weekend in Orlando, right near UCF, David was victimized by people attending a Nazi rally. And you can, unfortunately, watch the attack online as it was videotaped. But I will let him tell you in a minute, what happened. But I do want to fill everybody in because things have moved very quickly. The Orlando Sheriff's Department announced this afternoon the arrest of 3 individuals: Joshua Terrell, charged with battery with a hate crime; Bert Colucci, also battery with a hate crime; and Jason Brown for grand theft related to the stealing of David's cell phone. The sheriff from Orlando tweeted himself that we will not stand for hate in our community. We have arrested 3 people in connection with neo-Nazi rallies this weekend. The Anti-Defamation League, which many of you are familiar with, has been very involved from the get-go, and they shared this afternoon that they were monitoring the neo-Nazi rally at the time of the assault, and their centers on extremism team members were involved and familiar with many of the demonstrators and helped the Sheriff's Department identify the suspects in this hate crime. Neo-Nazi leader Bert Colucci and Joshua Terrell, a racist skinhead from Bedford, Indiana, are charged with hate crime assaults, while Florida-based white supremacist Jason Brown has been charged with grand theft. It needs to be pointed out that just last month, Bert Colucci, who is the National Socialist Movement's leader since March of 2019, was indicted on 2 counts of misdemeanor disorderly conduct and 1 count of felony disorderly conduct. And those charges stem from an April 19th, 2021 incident in Arizona in which Colucci allegedly pointed a handgun at a group of Black people during an argument and sprayed chemical agents into their vehicle. Jason Brown, a Florida-based member of the New Jersey European Heritage Association, has been active with the GDL since at least November 2020. And in 2021, he participated in 2 of the group's so-called Name the Nose tours, including a May tour in Florida, which he helped organize, and an October tour in Texas. He has also attended some of the recent White Lives Matter events in South and Central Florida. The alleged assault linked to the hate crime charge occurred as 16 members and associates of the neo-Nazi National Socialist Movement and the anti-Semitic Goyim Defense League gathered in Orlando for the weekend. Participants included individuals from Florida, Indiana, Nevada, and Washington. I want to point out that this is, and David, I don't know if you see your screen. I know that part of the past several days you have felt very much alone and isolated, but this incident caught the attention of one of the most powerful women in our country, who just so happens to be our Congresswoman. And I texted her office and asked if she would be willing to join us tonight. And without any hesitation, she is here. And I know in a minute, I'll ask her to share some words. But David, I want to turn to you. And I know that this has been a very challenging week for you, and we've spoken a little bit, but can you tell us, succinctly what happened for you over the weekend?
I'm not sure if anyone can hear me. First off, I just want to say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
But basically this weekend, I don't know how familiar you are with the Orlando area, but there's specifically a shopping plaza, shopping center called Waterford Lakes, very similar to the Tower Shops in Davie, very similar concept where it's just a cluster of a lot of different types of stores, restaurants, services like hair salon, stuff like that. So there was a Target there, and I was just heading out, and I literally at the corner of my eye, like when I was driving, I saw swastika flags, and at first I thought I was like delusional or something, like maybe I was just in a trance or like just literally seeing things, like I was convinced I was like going crazy or something, and then I was like, maybe I'm just seeing something from a distance and I'm just thinking that it's a swastika or something. But as I got closer, it was actually people holding swastika flags, wearing all different types of clothing with swastikas on it, wearing Nazi style military uniforms with little swastika bands based on their ranking. Um, and as a Jew, as an Israeli person as well in the United States, I will always stand for my heritage. I will always stand for my country, no matter what. You can ask many people that know me. They won't even have to be particularly Jewish, Israeli, even understand anything that Judaism or being Israeli entails. They will tell you that I'm definitely one of the most passionate people about um, promoting anti-Semitism and just being proud of my Jewish and Israeli heritage. So seeing something like that just really put me in a natural position, because the natural me is always going to roll down my window, like I said, and I told them that Judaism is the internal light that will ignite the universe. Your hatred, your negativity is simply not accepted in this community. And at that point, I was getting spit on like everywhere. They were like climbing on top of my car, like spitting on me through the sunroof, spitting on me through the passenger side window, and I already had rolled it up. And at that point, they were starting to surround my car. And then I do have an Israeli license plate, an Israeli license plate frame. So it's very, very easy to tell that it's a Star of David, obviously. And it's like a little Israeli flag portion, but very easy to tell. Anybody can tell. It's not like not like a hidden message or anything. It's not no hidden meaning behind it. It's clear as day Israeli flag. So they're just trying to say, oh, are you a Jew? Are you a Jew? And I just said, yeah, I'm Jewish. Is there a problem with that? And then they're like, yeah, he's an expletive Jew. Look at his license plate. And they started pointing at my Israeli license plate. And at that point, they started surrounding my car. So my fight or flight response was just to get out of my car and just start like running towards like the intersection, almost like in the middle. Keep in mind, my car is stopped in the middle of the street. I also want to apologize if my story isn't lining up. I'm trying my best to retain my emotion and everything, so I can speak as clear and be as articulate as possible. Um, but at that point, I was just walking, and I just said, for my safety, I'm going to film these people, because they did just spit on me. They did just literally pull me over almost basically in traffic just because I said I was Jewish. They're literally wearing swastikas. So I said, you know what? Like, as a Jewish person, as a member of this community, I need to stand up to these people and show them that they do not belong here. They are not welcomed here. This hatred, this negativity is something that nobody should stand for ever, 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 let alone in my community, let alone down the street from where I live, let alone down the street from where a brand new temple was being built that had already got vandalized in the past 2 years with swastikas written over the construction signs. I just basically said, it is not happening. It is not happening here. And I started videotaping them. And during this videotape, it has to be probably the most excruciating words that a Jewish person, or quite frankly, anybody can hear. These are got to be the most disgusting Jewish slurs, sayings that were said, to keep it, kind of kosher for the Zoom at least. I can just say some things like, I was told that I should have been the 6,000,001, that my parents should have left me in the oven, that I deserve to be ashes like my ancestors, that I would have done great at the concentration camp. Basically, stuff of that nature is the light stuff. I'm not even to mention all the expletives and all the K words that I was called, because that was one I hadn't heard in a long time. And that's a very, 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 very negative word. And at that point, I was just filming them. They were spitting all over me, everywhere, my shoes, my shirt, nothing directly in my face, more spitting on my body. So it was kind of getting a point where I was getting really frustrated. I'm a person that stands up for myself. Obviously, I'm a person that will stand up for my religion, stand up for my heritage, stand up for anything I believe in. Like, I will go forth and do whatever I need to do in order for somebody to hear my message when it's something that I believe in, that I need to know that needs to be said. And at that point, I was done filming my video. I had gotten a really close shot of everybody's face, which in turn, I ended up naming the suspects with the help of the detectives. I helped the detectives find the suspects because it's very, very known. These people in the National Socialist Movement, NSM, whatever they want to call themselves, we can just call them the Nazis for very, very easy, and let's not give them the recognition that they want as an organization. They are point blank period Nazis by definition, by any sort of way you want to describe it. Nazis, right? So these Nazis, they want all this publicity, and they have all these websites, they have all these forums, all these videos, all these pictures on the internet, and it's very, 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 very accessible online. One simple Google search, you can find a bunch of stuff. And I remember when I was Google searching, I ended up finding like the leader, I ended up finding somebody else, and that was a great tip for the detectives in order for them to start pursuing a deeper investigation. So that's still while I'm filming, that's just giving you the backtrack of the film story. And then as I'm trying to get back into my car, there's this older man in particular there's this older man in particular who was kind of like standing in the background. There's probably around 15 to 20 of them, I would say, all mid 40s and above, easily. Maybe some of their late, mid 40s and above. And my estimate was pretty correct, even from the time being, because they all turned out to be in their mid 40s and their 50s, 60s, and so on. And there's this guy that was just kept spitting on me, this old guy, and I couldn't tell how old he was, like, nor do I care. If you're spitting on me just because I'm Jewish, it's gonna have a cause for retaliation. Every action has a reaction. Your action of spitting on me is definitely gonna cause me to have a reaction. And in that case, I needed to stand up for myself. He was blocking me from getting into my car. And I also heard that he said that he was planning on trying to steal my car. I'm not sure how true that is, but he was planning to steal my car as well, which he would not have gotten very far because anybody on the road would have seen that, So he was also planning on stealing my car. So as I was trying to get in my car, he said, expletive you expletive Jew, you're a dirty piece of expletive. And he spit, winded up a loogie in his throat and spit it straight in my face. Straight saliva, straight mucus, snot, you name it. Whatever dust this guy has in his body, who knows, spit straight on my face. And at that point, the typical cartoon, the smoke out of my ears. And at that point, I just shoved him. And then after that, within 1 second, I got attacked by 3 people physically, punched, striked, and then the leader of the Nazi group actually used a chemical agent in my eyes, in my ears, my mouth, everywhere. It was burning for over 2 hours, and then the rest was burning over 2 hours for the most. And then it kept burning the rest of the day, probably for around 12 hours after, including after when I showered and I got everything off. It just all seeped out of my hair onto my skin, causing me to have severe burning, severe red skin, and severe dry skin as well from this chemical agent. So after that, when the police were called and everything, I was just pepper sprayed in the middle of the street. Somebody random in traffic, I see all these videos online, but all I have to say is, why would you sit there and film when you can get out of your car and help somebody? That's what I will never understand. My first intention, if I see somebody in distress, will never be to go like that. It would never ever be. It would be to go up, stand up, buckle my belt, tie my shoe, do whatever I need to do, and go attend the situation. I'm very disgusted and it's very insensitive that people have the gut to just sit there and film in their car while something is happening. It's absolutely disgusting in my mind. For all I know, they could have had a deadly weapon or something, and that could have put me in a more vulnerable position, and then nobody would have wanted to help at all. So I just want to thank none of those bystanders, none of the people that filmed. There was only one car with a couple in it that helped me out. I really appreciate everything they did. The gentleman took me in his car, his white Dodge Ram pickup. You can see in the video if you guys seen it. If you guys don't want to see it, do yourself the favor. If you do want to see it for educational purposes, go ahead. But if you don't want to, hurt your eyes, then I wouldn't consider yourself watching it. But basically, and then his wife, girlfriend, relation, whatever, drove my car into the nearby Chase Bank parking lot. And then that's when the police were called. The paramedics were on the scene, asking me if I wanted to go to the hospital. And I stomped my foot down and I said, no, I need to attend to the situation. I do not want to go to the hospital. I do not want to seek medical attention at this time. And, at that point, the cops weren't doing anything. They didn't want to listen to anything I said. They weren't listening to what I was saying because I could not find my phone. I could not find my phone for the life of me. Of course, the first thing on my mind is like, oh my God, I need to call my dad. I need to call my mom. I need to call certain people right now, And my phone wasn't there because when I got attacked, my phone fell out of my hand, I guess, because I was filming. And one of the people that is getting charged with the grand theft for my phone, because it cost $999.99, the new iPhone 13 Pro that I just got less than 3 weeks ago. And basically he took it and then threw it down a storm drain. And it was only probably about 2 or 3 hours after that the police were able to find it. Not even to mention, I'm sorry guys, my story's not interlinking, but I believe that it is. But not to mention that when the police arrived on the scene, they did not kick them off. They were still there, chanting, waving their flags, doing their little arm symbol, and it was just disgusting. It was the biggest slap in the face. It was the biggest embarrassment of all time that I'm literally outside, shirtless, scruffed up, barely able to open my eye, have people touching me in every corner, trying to drain my eye out when I'm just trying to find my phone. Meanwhile, there's literally Nazis still standing right there with their swastika flags, their megaphones, doing their little signs, doing their little hand symbols, doing whatever they please. And now, while I do understand that free speech is a thing in the United States, I do believe that it should be monitored in a sense where we need to figure out what constitutes negative from positive, because in this case, it was far skewed right negative. Nowhere near was that positive. To them, it might be positive, but to the majority of people, that constitutes as negative.
David, can I ask you a question? So you're on the screen here with 4 Jewish parents, right? And 4 proud Jews. In some respect, I think we all can relate to what your desire was. Do you have any reflection now, any words of wisdom or insight to your peers or others about getting out of the car, engaging these monsters?
Yeah, definitely.
What's that?
Yeah, definitely. It's just like I said, we as Jewish people, we have often been overlooked for eternity, as you can see, all the way from Mitzrayim, all the way from the Holocaust. Jews have been overlooked forever. We've always been looked at as an inferior religion, as inferior citizens of a society, all the time, always looked down upon. So One thing that I will never allow as a Jewish person, as an Israeli person, as somebody overall Jewish heritage, whatever you want to call it, I will never, ever, ever let somebody come in the way of my heritage. Nobody will ever be able to speak negatively without hearing from me, without hearing from somebody. And I just hope that everybody can attain the attribute of bravery, because being brave and being able to stand up for something, for someone, in this case Judaism, your religion, something that's a part of you, it's not just a label, it's something that's inside of you, it's internal, it's the light, it's the soul, it's the feeling, it's the feeling you get from when you're hearing all the Shabbat songs, the feeling you get from gathering around the menorah. It's the feeling you get from, fasting together on Yom Kippur. It's just all these feelings together create one amazing thing, and that is Judaism. So you definitely just need to stand up for it. If you ever see something like this, please be aware that these people are dangerous. They are extremists. They will go to whatever measure possible. They do not care if they die. They do not care if they go to jail. They do not care if they kill somebody. They do not care if they cause a public commotion. They do not care. They want all of that.
And
They
I think
want
that that's
to
really
happen.
important. I mean, what you experience, like, people need to understand that this is not a game. This is not just a fighting match with words. I mean, they used chemical agents on you, and people need to take this seriously. And we really need our local, our state, and our national leaders to speak out strongly against anti-Semitism. And the fact is that this shouldn't be a political issue, because this is hate. And there are two sides when it comes to this. There's anti-hate and there's, well, pro-hate. And even in our state, I mean, and we are so honored to have our Congresswoman here tonight, but we had Republican Rick Scott tweeted against this. Marco Rubio tweeted against this. I would very much like to hear strong condemnation from our governor, whose press secretary tweeted and then deleted after the attack.
Absolutely. I just want to stop doing that.
Yeah.
That was absolutely the most heartbreaking thing I ever heard in my life.
Yeah. So I want people, the question was, and lots of you know that I try to be middle of the road here, but I think it's important to know that from our governor's office came a tweet that said, do we even know that they're Nazis? Or is this a stunt like white nationalists who crashed the Youngkin rally in Charlottesville and turned out to be Democratic staffers? And she said, I trust Florida law enforcement to investigate and am awaiting their conclusions. Well, we know now because the sheriff's department has arrested 3 individuals. We know what Florida law enforcement has concluded. And so I am asking.
It's not even that. It's not even that. You guys can look at she can look at my passport. See, it says
I
Israel.
understand. Right.
Look here. You can look behind me. I have a Birkat Bayit. I have Siddur right here. I have my tefillin over there. It's not.
Right. And unfortunately, this shouldn't be about politics. And we are very fortunate to have our Congresswoman here tonight. And you have been flying all over the country today. You have been helping to lead our country, and you took it upon yourself to leave an event early tonight just to be with us. So I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you want to say a few words, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here tonight.
Thank you so much, Rabbi, and Cantor, and to the congregation of Ramat Shalom. I wish I were joining you under other circumstances. And David, really thank you for sharing what is a harrowing story. You brought us into those moments with you, and you showed tremendous bravery on a day that was filled with insidious hate and fear and violence. If I can just speak as a Jewish mother for a moment, having college-age children, I understand your desire to get out of the car and confront them and stand up for our people. And as someone who stands up for our people nearly every day, I get it, but your safety is really should be first and foremost. And you were by yourself, taking them on and risking your life when they could have easily killed you. And given the hatred coming from a crowd like that, if they had the means, they may have. So I would just take it upon myself to ask you to be more cautious and more careful in the future, because you weren't going to convince them ever. And it would probably have been more prudent to go and get law enforcement and bring them back, even though you're right, in this country, there's a First Amendment right to protest, but much of the haters that engage in this kind of quote unquote demonstrations end up crossing the line. And so alerting law enforcement and making sure that you were not alone to endure that hatred, I'm glad that we're having a chance to talk to you rather than mourning your loss. So please, I have a son and 2 daughters all around your age. And so I'm speaking more as a Jewish mother to you and looking out for your safety. But I also just want to take a minute, Rabbi, to address the accountability and justice that is necessary to ensure that Florida remains a state that will not tolerate anti-Semitism, or actually let's try to be a state that doesn't tolerate anti-Semitism or extremism, because it was terribly disturbing, and it still is, that our governor has not yet addressed this or condemned it, and actually suggested that it was a smear campaign against him. Yeah. This is not the time for that, but I'm thankful that the individuals have been identified and charged for their role in this. That justice for this hate crime needs to be swift and severe, and that is especially necessary when we have leaders who really aren't standing up. And we all, in a time of crisis, we need leaders to speak in unison, to call out anti-Semitism and hate. And I mean, we're facing an alarming rise of anti-Semitism. It comes from multiple sources, and it's increasingly being mainstreamed. I mean, just to give you an FBI statistics, Jews were the target of 55% of all religiously motivated hate crimes in 2020, despite the fact that we are no more than 2% of the US population. 1 in 4 American Jews have been the target of anti-Semitism over the past year. 4 in 10 have changed their behavior out of fear of anti-Semitism. You should not fear going to synagogue or wearing a kippah or a Star of David. And in the course of living your daily life, you should not fear attack in living as a Jew publicly. And that's why the work that we do now is critical, more critical than ever before. We have to improve the physical security of Jewish institutions like Ramat Shalom and organizations. We should be able to send our children to preschool, to college, like David's parents did. We need to increase the funding for the nonprofit security grant program at the Department of Homeland Security. I'm pushing to double it, because we need, this is no longer, years ago when this program started, Rabbi, it was so much more incidental. And so you needed some funds to help in communities where this was much more sporadic. But we're at every single day now. There is another anti-Semitic incident we had in Hollywood with swastikas all over the coastline, on the beach. We had in Miami Beach, we had attacks last week, and on top of Orlando. I mean, every single day. We also need to increase support for Holocaust education programs and education about the history and dangers of anti-Semitism to Jews and democracy. Think about it. Most people have, given that we're 2% of the population, have not really interacted with Jews in their lives in this country. Right. My colleagues all over the country, oftentimes, the first time they interact with anyone Jewish on a regular basis is when they come to Congress and they meet Jewish members from across the country. So making sure things like Jewish American Heritage Month and other opportunities that we have through our educational process to teach people, David, you're an Israeli, and so you're nationally Jewish, you are culturally Jewish, and you are religiously Jewish. We are an entity that we are a culture, a heritage, a religion, and in some cases, if you're Israeli, a nationality, and that's not like any other religion or religious group. You can be a secular Jew, a fully secular Jew, and be just as Jewish as an Orthodox Jew. And so understanding will help us reduce bigotry. Strengthening hate crimes education and the reporting by local law enforcement, particularly to identify and help prosecute anti-Semitic hate crimes. We have so much that we have to do. I'm urging the president to convene a task force to build a national action plan to fight anti-Semitism and enhance our interagency monitoring of hate-related targets and activities. We have to confirm Dr. Deborah Lipstadt, the president's nominee to be the special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism, which is an international position. What happened in Colleyville is the result of someone who was not from this country, coming to this country in December, being able to get access to a gun, and then take Jews hostage at their synagogue on Shabbat. So silence is not an option regarding hate. It's only by taking action and working together that we're going to make a real difference. But again, David, to strengthen numbers, and also we have law enforcement that exists in this country to be able to step in times like that. So I'm proud
David, I warned you tonight that
I had to say it.
No. Congresswoman, I spoke to him earlier and I said, listen, you're going to be on. Originally, I thought it was going to be the Cantor and myself. And I said, you're going to have some Jewish parents who are going to. I didn't know we were going to have one of the most powerful women in the country. And I let her do what I told you.
I was going to do what you just said.
Right?
And so, we're tag teaming.
Yes.
We understand it.
Everything.
But we need you, David. We need you, and we need a lot of your peers. And I get the desire, but please be careful. And I also want to let you know that Ramat Shalom is going to be covering the cost of your cell phone. I know that was a lot. So you're going to let me know, and we're going to send you those funds as our way of thanking you. And Congresswoman, thank you for fighting the fight.
You're welcome.
And you keep us.
My college age son just came home from college and he's in the other room. And so I'm going to go hug him now, David, because I can. And I'm very glad that your parents can hug you. And again, thank you. Thank you for standing up for our people. And we all need to, because we know what has happened in history when we did not. But let's do so safely.
Definitely.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Congresswoman. David, thank you. We'll be in touch. You both, I know Congresswoman is rushing to something else. David, you are welcome to stay with us. We are so grateful for you. Just please be safe. We are here for you. When you come back to Plantation, please come and visit us.
Yes,
and I will be in touch with you because I want to send you. We're going to take care of that cell phone of yours and make certain that you're safe.
I just wanted to make a few final remarks. First off, I just want to say thank you for everybody viewing, for what Debbie and Rabbi Jacobs have done for me. Thank you guys so much. It's definitely been a tough time. I'm a really strong emotional person. I'm definitely a lot more emotionally mature and emotionally stable than most college students, I would say. So I'm just glad that if this event I'm not glad per se, but I'm glad in the sense where at least it didn't happen to somebody that's not as emotionally as mature, is not as emotionally inclined as me, because I'm able to realize things for what it is. I just hope that, everyone can just stay safe in their community. If you ever see something like this, please, don't approach or anything. I told this to the news today, stay away from these people as far as possible, because like I said, they are extremists. They don't care if they die. They definitely don't care if you die, and they don't care if they end up in jail. They will do whatever they can in their power to fly their little swastika flag up and, you know, preach this pro-white supremacy, anti-black, anti-Jewish, anti-Muslim, anti-anything but white American nationalist, supremacist, racist. That's the only thing that they want to preach. And not to mention that the leader of this Nazi group was also a former leader of a KKK group as well.
Right.
So that's also new news that I'm finding out based off my own research. So that just goes to show what kind of guy this is. And I guess I will be content when I figure out when they are finally booked and, you know, put behind bars. But until then, I'm still on my tippy toes, waiting
But we
to
got
hear.
your back. We got your back. We're here for you. I know
Yeah,
we're not around the corner, but we got your
Yeah, just waiting to hear any new information, you know. It's been hard, especially without a phone. Like, you really don't realize how hard something, how much something helps you or how much something impacts you until it's taken away from you. And that's what happened with my phone, you know. And it's like, I didn't want this to happen. Nobody wanted this to happen, you know. Maybe the Nazis wanted it to happen, but it definitely didn't work out in their favor because, you know, 3 of them are now going to end up behind bars, which is where they should be. And I hope he doesn't get to run away like after this little Arizona indictment, because it was a very similar situation. He did receive misdemeanor, but now they will be. You didn't mention this, Rabbi, but now they will be receiving, or the pending charges are 3rd-degree felony, battery, hate crime charges.
big deals.
The suspect, and then a grand
Deal.
theft charge for the suspect that stole my phone and threw it down the storm drain.
Right.
So overall, I would just like to thank everybody here from the Ramat Shalom and everybody. I just want to thank you guys so much because you guys have showed immense support. And it's just been a tough time for sure. But no matter what day it is, no matter what time it is, no matter what the circumstance is, I will always put my foot down. I will always back my heritage. I will always back my religion. I will always back anything I believe in. And this, for me, simply was just another day in my life of me standing up for Judaism and standing up for being pro-Israel.
But you remember you're going to be safe, right?
Most definitely.
Because otherwise we're coming after you.
Okay. Or I might have to drive down 3 hours.
There you go. We will be in touch with you. Thank you. And remember, listen, you got one of the strongest congresswomen to come on the screen tonight. So you got the national spotlight on you, and we're with you. You're not alone.
And like you said, Rabbi, I'm just waiting on DeSantis.
That's right. Me too. And I'm going to be in touch with him because
political as possible, you know, like you said.
I know that this shouldn't be about politics.
Halfway, like you said. I just really need him to make some sort of statement as soon as possible. What his spokesperson said was one of the most insensitive things that any sort of high power political figure or anything in that nature could have said in a long time. That was not something that was said 30 years prior to whatever position they're in. That was said right then and there when they were holding the position, right in the spotlight, right after this event happened. It's completely insensitive. It's disgusting, morally, ethically, nothing that I align with. And it's just completely disgusting. So I'm gonna end it on a positive note. I want to wish everybody again, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
I hope
Shalom.
everybody has a great weekend. I hope everybody enjoys their Shabbat tomorrow and gets a nice day of rest. And
you too. Be in touch. We'll talk soon.
Thank you guys.